Everybody, I'm Jimmy Ranch. I was just thinking about whenever we get older and how a lot of people like to just kind of come in and run our life for us. You know what I mean? They just want to just take over just because you get older. Like all of a sudden they think that you're stupid or something. Like family advice is not ownership. You know what I mean? You do not need approval. That's the main point, I guess, of this little video for whatever it's going to be worth. I don't know. You don't need permission from anybody. You worked all of your life and now you're finally a little older and you're slower. You don't move around as good as you used to, but so your family or your friends or whatever, everybody thinks that they need to control your life. You do not have to hand over your power to anybody. But it happens all the time. It's like I made a video a long time ago kind of about at Christmas time. You know how like the older people, they get invited to the family Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving or whatever. And what do? They kind of push your ass off into the corner. They don't make you really feel like you're part of the family anymore. Let's just go push Uncle Willie in the corner and he'll just be glad to be here. That's not true, man. I'll tell you something. Let me get my pen. You better live your own life or somebody else will live it for you. So you got to make up your mind what you want to do. It's like a lot of you have money saved up. You've been saving and saving and saving and saving. All these years you've been saving all this money. And now you're in basic retirement. You're supposed to be in these golden twilight years. And now you look at it, all this money, your house is paid for, your vehicles are paid for, you're doing good, You probably have your Social Security, if nothing else. Maybe you got some, like I said, some savings, and maybe you have a pension. Maybe not everybody has a pension. But what do you do with that money, man? You just sit there like a penny pincher and you hang on to it. Like, what are you waiting on to live, man? You're old as it is. You better get off your butt and start living. It's your money. Because the more you just sit around and just leave your money under your mattress or under your pillowcase or in the bank or wherever you keep it, whenever you die, guess what? Your kids are going to spend it that quick. They don't care. They don't care. It just irks me, It's like, take ownership of your life. It's like a wallet. Let me tell you something that happened to me just a while ago, talking about approval and permission. This would be more on the, I don't know, maybe both. I get a knock at the door a little while ago, and there was this man. He says, "Hey, I see that you've got this big, nice truck sitting out in your driveway. Would you be interested in selling it?" And I told him for the right price, I would, yeah. So he kind of says, "Would you come out here and let's look at it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, let's look at it." And so, of course, he's got to give me the poor, pitiful pearl. So, well, I'll probably have to do this, and, well, I'll have to do that, and I'll probably have to buy new tires, blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's your problem. That's your problem. This is the price. So he says, well, we kind of agreed to a price. And he says, well, let me go run. This was a little while ago. He says, let me go run to the bank before it closed, and I'll get the cash for you, and we'll come back, and we'll discuss it a little more. Okay? I said, all right. So he comes back and he kind of shows me this big wad of money, cash, and he puts it in his pocket. And he says, this is my luck. He says, I'd like to look under the hood if that's all right. I say, yeah, no problem, man. So we go outside and we lift up the hood, and guess what we discover? I had no idea. Right on the left side of the engine, very left side, there's a big old rat's nest. Just like what a lot of you RVers experience out in the desert, a big old rat's nest. And he looks at me and I look at him. Okay, I had no idea it was like that. He says, well, man, I bought a vehicle once before. And he says, I had it. And about a year later, he says, then things started going wrong. And it was all because of these stupid rodents eating the wiring, because they love to eat wiring for some reason. So we opened up the hood. We looked at it, saw the rat's nest. I had to get the rat's nest out of there. Even the rat was still he was dead, but he was still in his little nest that he built. Glad he was dead. So I got some gloves and I picked it up. I didn't want to fool with it, but I did. you know, with all this Hanavirus talk going around. So I threw it in my trash can, and sure enough, there's a couple little wires that's been eaten through. Well, guess what? The guy goes, we need to renegotiate this price. And I said, what do you got in mind, man? And so he told me, so he wants to knock off a couple $1,000. And I thought about it for a minute. And I said, man, I don't know. I don't want to give my truck away. It ain't going to cost no $200 just for two little wires. You crank it up, everything works, it runs good. I'm not, willing to, in other words, I don't need permission from this guy to lowball me. So I told him, I said, look, this is the price. This is a fair price the way it is, what we agreed on. You either take the truck, or I told him, or go. I don't need to sell my truck. I don't have to. I said, the only reason I'm considering selling it is because I only use my truck because I hauled around a truck camper and I had a fifth wheel. As you can see in the back of the truck, I still have my hitch in there. So I don't have to sell it, and I'm not going to sit here and bounce around with you back and forth. Either you want it or you don't. And he says, well, I'll tell you what, I want to think about it. Do you mind if I think about it overnight? And I'll come back tomorrow afternoon and we'll further discuss it. I said, there's nothing to discuss. This is the price. You either pay the price or that's it. And I was very firm. I wasn't in the mood to jack around with this guy. So I don't need his approval on the price that he wants to set for my truck that I'm selling. I don't need his permission. I'm not going to do it. Don't be stupid, people. Take charge of your life or somebody else will. That's the only point of this stupid video. Okay? Don't let your family browbeat you. Don't let people, just because you're older, let them railroad you and run over you. You don't have to do it, man. You don't have to do nothing. In fact, whenever people invite you to go places or, well, let's go get Uncle Jed and let's invite him to Christmas dinner, you don't have to go. Because you know what they're going to probably do. They're going to push your ass off in a corner somewhere. And now you're going to start feeling like you don't belong. You're going to feel worse than whenever you went. So you know what? Just stay home. It's okay. It's okay to say no. You don't have to have permission. And you tightwads out there who's got all this money saved up, get off your butt and start spending it. Do something for yourself. What are you waiting on? What are you waiting on, They don't have safety deposit box inside a casket. So get off your butt, live for yourself, go have some fun. You worked hard all your life. What are you waiting on, man? Really? That's all I got to say today, I guess. I'm kind of irritated because of the stinking rat underneath the hood of my truck. That burned me up figures right whenever I was thinking about selling it. And if he comes back tomorrow trying to really lowball me, I'm going to tell him to hit the road, Jack. That's a fact. I'm Jimmy Rance. Go have some fun.